How's it going, ladies and Bruces? I'm Bobby Sixkilla, and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. We died in the last episode for the first time, which was lovely, and we've made a friend, which is also lovely. More lovely than dying, actually. And also we got slapped in the face by a guard, so that's cool too. Alright, anyway, 12 years old now, you overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and Mother has just sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps I'll mention you too. That lowlife idiot had the gall to pay me a visit and begged me for some advice. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum? How dare he? Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be a lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magro. He owns 5 iron mines. He has like 1 million subs. A friend like him could be quite useful, should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum. I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. Whatever he is, however, is lowborn. But you were too originally, weren't you? Just like Father was. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a noble hand to guide them. Gregor himself was born a fucking commoner. So why does he act like this? I wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the Emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even lowlives can wield power. True power, Robert. Just the right to discuss and seize the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more. That is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlives now? Make them into judges? If the Empire rejects the foundations and the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Who am I telling this to? It is already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are a harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you, I do not wish to marry a third time. Lydia is a good wife and a dutiful mother to my children. If you'd only allow her to, I will allow them nothing. Neither Egmont, nor that freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going. And I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlives share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book, but that dream will never come true. They will never call me Venerable L. Brante, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stefan addressed in such a manner one day. Thank the twins that I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of L. Brante. You have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milksops from the common lot, they're incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I have grave doubts about even that. As for the downtrodden Nathan, I hold out no hope for him whatsoever. You hear Grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Power up. You start studying at the school of Sir Tibor and begin to master the sciences. Oh, good. Science is my favourite. Finally, the day comes when the teacher stops coming to the house, but before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come into his study. You've grown, my son. It is time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tibor's school for the children of noblemen and well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home during the evening. Oh, nice. You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tibor's school, huh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there too, as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based on an ancient estate of Arknian design. The classrooms are tall and spacious with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on history and imperial lore and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hands slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice about how Magra joined the Empire and how the nobles' court of honour is different from the commoners' civil court in the city prefecture, but Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it's time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it's time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behaviour of any kind, for you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelations and divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. You have only one more day until the exam. You have locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have to read all of them again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought on your mind. Thomas ended up being in trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who lived next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got into an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue your friend in need. But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Brucey? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology. Either one or the other. But Thomas and the fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons known only to him. Will you accept his help? Focus on law and history. Boost to Robert, boost to nobility. Help Thomas. Boost to ingenuity, boost to Thomas. Cool. Study theology, boost to spirituality, boost to Lydia. That's cool. Boost to willpower, boost to Nathan. Man, we're gonna get in trouble. Go help Thomas. I have to. He's my BFF. You push Nathan out of the room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for the exam. But once you're sure nobody is behind the door, you open a window and climb out into the yard and over the fence. And then you run like the wind to your wooden fort where Thomas is in peril. The battle for the fort has already begun. Thomas is cornered. He swings a loose wooden plank, fending off 3 boys at once. This is not a fair fight by any means. Your friend is rugged enough to have a fighting chance against 2 of them, but 3 is too many for him to handle alone. Where have you been, Brucey? They're about to smash our fort. Get them. You flank the assailants and slam them into them at full speed, channeling the cavalry of the holy warriors. You take them by surprise as you pull one of the aggressors away and knock him out with a punch to the jaw. Thomas cheers you on. You team up and make short work of the remaining foes. Your enemies retreat in shame. Thomas got a black eye and his knuckles are all covered in blood, but he looks unusually pleased with himself. Couldn't have done it without you. Just look at them trying to tell us where to build our fort. Okay, time to fix her up. Your score on the exam was merely satisfactory, but still well above a failing grade. Your family's not too happy with you, but life goes on, and your studies continue. You know you could have worked harder to prove yourself to your teachers, but your wooden fort still stands, and that's what matters. Well, it's not really about the fort. It's about friendship. Come on now. It's about brothers in arms. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Arknian gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner, as he always does. And what's the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Brucey? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arknians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the Empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest rank, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or the emperor himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? With the honorific L before their last name, you respond. Sir Augustin L. Bourne, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arknians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arknians stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Arknian tells you and never defy them. Ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner, as a reward for great service to the Empire in the Legion or as a civil servant. Father grows suddenly grows quiet and looks at you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. I don't think I care about all of that. Sir Tabor's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons here, and every passing day, the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time the bully leading them is Diederick, the son of the secretary for the Imperial Chancery and self-important slob. The son of noblemen never pick on you. However, they know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, Diederick and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favourite victim. Time and time again you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him. He waves at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the word of Diederick and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Diederick. He throws himself at Diederick's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they're free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab him at once. Diederick sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them as Diederick readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners, he asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind, your equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diederick haughtily extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? We could shake his hand? We can't, but why the fuck would we ever do that anyway? Yeah, your friendship has to be lower than 2. Nice. Admonish. That gives us a spirituality. Turn him over to the teachers. Gives us ingenuity. Or challenge him to a fight. I say we challenge him to a fight. We always wanted to be a soldier anyway. You do not shake his hand. Instead, you challenge Diederick to display at least some dignity by fighting you one-on-one. That is, if he considers himself a nobleman's son, of course. Diederick's face grows serious. There is no way for him to refuse this challenge in public. Diederick makes a sign and Thomas is released and pushed to the floor. He gets back on his feet, cursing and itching to rush at them again, but you hold your friend back. The teacher of Imperial Law comes into the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. A day full of lessons begins. You keep daydreaming of Diederick's face and how you're going to put an end to that nasty smile of his. Let's catch that bastard together and you clean his clock. And clean his clock. He hurt me, not you. The deal has been made, you tell your friend. This is a matter of your honour now. Thomas huffs angrily but agrees. Diederick is already awaiting you, in a narrow back street by the school, his retinue by his side. You walk forward and give him an opportunity to end this dispute once and for all. This is the nobleman's way. If you win this battle, Diederick and the other children of nobles will never pick on the commoner's son again. If he wins, you will never stand in their way and protect other students. You will fight him one-on-one. Diederick walks forward uncertainly. You roll up both your sleeves. I mean, we've been hanging out with Thomas for ages now. We must be tough as shit by now. You raise your fists in a fighting stance. Diederick tries to copy your movements. You hit him first. Diederick does manage to land several glancing blows, but he is fighting a losing battle. He's never been in a real street fight. Thomas nods in approval. You've learned a lot from him. Exactly. It doesn't take long for Diederick to stop fighting back. One more blow and he squeals and raises his hands. You've won. You turn to the other nobleman's sons with a victorious look on your face. No more teasing, and if anyone else says so much as one bad word about Thomas, they'll pay. Diederick's former retinue disperses silently. Hell yeah. Hey, we get some nobility. Cool. We're getting good at fighting. We should keep that up. Once we're an adult, we can beat our grandfather to death. Your theology teacher tells you more about Anazot. It is more than just the provincial capital. It is also a sacred place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branches in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first trip to the Silver Tree. Your class is visiting a service in the Great Temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness this landmark of the twins' advent up close. Everybody is excited. Soon you and the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church district of Anazot. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic crumpled hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They're home to paupers, day labourers and preachers. The people of the district bow humbly to you and point you toward the temple. They seem at peace, despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There is a crowd there, pilgrims dressed in travelling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city and the occasional well-dressed noble. There are arguments among some people who are gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring upward at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might and the calm emanating from it. You are filled with the desire to sit down and think of the world and learn something about yourself, to touch the silver-white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You're distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right next to the trunk. A tall red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You've never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she's recognized a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilde, a preacher from Astinia. What she says next shakes you to your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says, yet you will never follow the light of truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will find only lies about the lots, the erring words of the prophet Asatius, sanctified by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives knows that they never so much as mentioned the lots. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything that you've heard from Mother, everything you've been taught at school. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilde or ask her for more information? Or should you treat her as a madwoman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small warm hand grasp your own. You see a girl right next to you. She is just a little older than you, wearing a black dress, threadbare yet almost spotless. Her hair is covered by a handkerchief with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. But there is a bit of colour on her cheeks too. But then she starts speaking to you quickly. Don't listen to her, she's dangerous. Come to the temple with me. Only there will you see the truth. You stand there surrounded by the crowd of praying pilgrims and the sound of shuffling feet, torn between two people you have never seen before, and each of them expects you to follow her. But all the while you hear the whisperings of the wind in the tree's branches. The branches reach out to you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? Gene acquainted. Gene, eh? Screw the temple. I'm going to talk to the tree. It's tree time, baby. The tree is beautiful. The silver-white foliage stretches out and spreads toward the sky, held aloft by a trunk so thick it would be a challenge to walk around it. The trees rustle and whisper peacefully in the wind. The tree, it seems to speak to you. You walk away from the odd-looking preacher and the young acolyte, ignoring them as they call out to you. You walk around the temple and the crowd of people, getting closer to the tree with every step. Then you extend a shaking hand and touch the bark. It's unusually warm. You can feel a pulse beneath the roots. The tree is alive. It's a tree. The roots are so gigantic they form large grottos, spaces of air embraced by the roots and the ground. You squeeze into one of these grottos. It is unusually bright and quiet, shielded from the noise of Anazot. Right now, there is only you and the tree. You sit down, their leaves are rustling all around you. The only noise you hear is the beating pulse of life that flows through the tree, and this pulse beats in time with your own heart. You feel clarity and calmness, free of doubt and frustration. The tree speaks to you. Or are they your own thoughts, so strange, unfamiliar and eye-opening? These thoughts speak of soothing love, and of crystal clear lore, and of love and lore intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. You stop slouching and your frown becomes a light smile. Hours pass like fleeting seconds. You lose track of the time until you overhear someone shouting your name. Alas, it is time to leave this grotto. The sun is setting over Anazot now. The day was quick to pass. Your teacher frowns, ready to scold you. You mumble an explanation and say you are ready to be punished for disobedience. Yet instead, the teacher nods in understanding. You keep looking back at the tree all the way home. Whatever happened to you today, you find it difficult to put into words. Full of power. That's what I like to hear. That's some positive thinking. Another school day has ended. You're making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the Empire, the eternal and unshakable rule of a single dynasty, the 3 estates, each with their own rights. What an odd sort of order this world has, and yet so mysterious. At least, it sounds that way when your teachers talk about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, and yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant Magran towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, could you put your things away and come pray with me? You join Mother in prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their greater design in a barely audible whisper. You repeat after her, just as she has taught you ever since you were a little boy. When the prayer ends, Mother sighs and turns to you. Brucey, my son, you're 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It is time you learned about certain things that are important to our family. Difficult things. It's about your father and me. About our marriage. You gaze curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you've wondered about this before. Your father is a nobleman of the mantle, so how could he marry a commoner with another man's child? But you see, Brucey, your father, when his first wife, Amelia Alborn, died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost his purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. And then he met me. You know the troubles I had in the past. I went to the prefecture as soon as a petitioner to ask them for help, protection and justice. When I was a young girl, I worked at a small shop and sold crockery and dishes. A nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be forever forgotten. The twins I know. I was humbled and honoured his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. Gloria is that nobleman's daughter, but he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with low-born progeny? You turned me out in the streets with that little baby girl in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honour, nowhere to go, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't think the judges there would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, and I believe that at that very moment the twins themselves granted him the gift of their love. Your father told me that there was nothing he could do to make the detestable nobleman marry me, but he would never abandon me and my baby Gloria, and if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears are running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honour and reputation would suffer, but caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament. He rediscovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others, but his decision to marry me, he's still paying for it today. Your father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew how the despicable rumours we heard about the Brants all over Anazot. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brant bloodline managed to hang on to what little remained of its reputation, and now the noble families have all but forgotten about the scandal, thank the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she's trying to tell you? My son, I'm not telling you this just to share my pain of the past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. But you need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear, including our scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. And Gloria can never be a Brant. Even if the elder Brants agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. And if that were to happen, Brucey, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. Mother sighs heavily. What I told you just now is something you have to know, son. You're about to enter adult life. By my lot, I must be humble. I cannot tell you how to treat your family, but may I ask you a question? Now that you know all of this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? Of course. Filled with determination, you assure Mother that Gloria is and always will be your sister. You want Gloria to be a Brant too. You want her to be a part of the family. Who cares what the nobles of Anazot say? Mother beams with quiet joy when she hears this. Oh, Brucey, if only you knew how happy that would make me, to have our family united at last. However, the joy in her face quickly gives way to concern. But I already owe good Sir Robert a debt I can never repay. He's given my daughter so much, a home and education, his care and advice. The Brante bloodline could suffer so much from Gloria's existence. We should all just learn to accept her status as it is. Just then you hear Gloria carefully knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother, Brucey, I couldn't find you. You happily greet your sister. Yes, she is your sister. No old secrets can ever change that. Mother gives you and Gloria a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. You and your sister walk downstairs together. Mother is alone by her bedside now, thanking the twins with a quiet prayer for the Brante family they've given her. You hope they can hear her. We're maxed out with Mother. We're a mummy's boy. You're 13 now. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about priests and why the clergy is one of the 3 estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other 2 estates accordingly. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. But you've learned all this from Mother many times before, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Father promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Someone's about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. You'll watch the teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply, about to strike. Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash. The teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic. Real magic. Just like in the books about the Magra Rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There's a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes and sparks in his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. Brian snaps his fingers and the book of Asatius on the desk turns to pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms, and the curtains catch fire. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps toward the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. He's going to burn the whole school down. This is some old school magical fucking class shootings, isn't it? With fire. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor. Even through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who's lying on the floor silent. Soon 3 men in black cloaks enter the doors of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver, the Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They lock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. Well, he's gonna die. One of the Inquisitors remained behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explained. The ungodly power that twists the mind of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from its evil grasp. The next day, you're forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Yeah, obviously they killed him. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed to rule over the Empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the Emperor's reign continues into its 2nd century. Celebrations in honour of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that Grandfather is going to bring Stefan back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stefan might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. Soon Stefan arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he's still Grandfather's double, but he is more grown up and now far less haughty to you. It is a dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stefan are sitting in the library. He's telling you all about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It's so full of many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You've read so much about these places, yet he has seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I looked everywhere. She's not in the attic. Not in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Charm Melanidus' palace. She could be lost in there. Well, that's bad. You and Stefan exchange looks. Charm Melanidus, the rebellious duke. The ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you're not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns, with his sword in its sheath. Get ready, Brucey. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You're confused by Stefan's actions. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being, so why is he still so determined to rescue her? Stefan notices your expression. It's because he wants to prove himself. Are you suddenly wondering why I care about Gloria? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honor compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brant, but father still took her into our house. I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she is one of our own. You're a Brant too, noble or not, which means it's your duty to aid me. I agree. The ruins of Char Melanidus' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago, and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this place. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind a dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surrounding her, cackling and swinging their arms about. You hear their shouts. Look at the lass sitting here rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble, but don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're going to teach you your place. One of the louts spits at Gloria as she lies there. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stephan draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he is only one-armed man against many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Stand by my side. Don't let them flank me. I don't have a weapon. Stefan's hand shakes, but he looks ready for battle. He's outnumbered. For a moment, you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district and call for the guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you and Stefan cautiously. I mean, you know. +2. I don't know, follow your brother's orders or charge the attackers? Follow your brother's orders. It's going to cost willpower though. Stefan's firm voice fills you with confidence. You follow your noble brother's orders. It takes a moment to grab a stick, and then you're at Stefan's back, angrily swinging at the louts as they try to bring him down. One of the louts lunges at your brother with a stone, but you hit him with the stick, and he falls down right at Stefan's feet. His sword flashes and the blade sinks deep into the young man's stomach. He wheezes. Blood starts pouring onto the ground. The thugs freeze. Stefan pulls the sword out, his face an inscrutable mask, and returns to his fighting stance. You're stunned to see Stefan take another man's life so easily and effortlessly, like picking his own teeth. The thugs look like they're about to flee. There is rage and confusion on their faces. They never expected the young nobleman to use that sword. Stefan just scoffs at them. Lowborn scum, that's all you are. This is the only language you understand. Good job, brother. Gloria, get up. We're going home. He turns to glance at your sister, giving the enraged thugs just enough time to rush you. You get separated from Stefan. Your back is against the wall now. They hit you hard in the stomach, then the face, then the side of the head. Your mind slips away. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stefan is in an armchair next to you reading a book. He's alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. Your head is spinning and you feel nauseous. You try your best to sit up. Stefan looks up from the book. Don't try to get up. You've lost a lot of blood. I suppose that was a few thugs too many for a single warrior, even with good backup. I'm impressed. We fought like an army. The noble's orders, the commoner obeys, all according to our lots. We defended the family's honour together, you know, brother. The nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision a nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. I think about it often. A noble mustn't act weak. A noble mustn't suffer like people of the lowborn lot. A noble must rule over them wisely. A noble must ensure that they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot that you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lots as well. And there are so many more matters to take care of. Honor, dignity, tradition. It's tough. But it's what it takes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? There is approval in your brother's eyes for the first time in a long while. It was a pleasure to fight by your side, brother. I mean, I got my head smashed in, but sure, thanks. I really enjoyed it too, apart from the concussion. Alright, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today. At least we saved Gloria, I suppose. Maybe I should have charged them after all. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.